Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. Obviously, we all know the 2024 NFL Draft has come and gone, so I'm here today to give my personal reactions to everything that the Buffalo Bills did in the NFL Draft in 2024, from top to bottom, everything from round one, everything to round seven, everything in between. How I'm going to structure this is this way. I'm going to go through each pick, round one, what overall, round two, what overall they were taken, and give my personal grade on an A to F scale. Little spoilers, no Fs. So there's no picks that I absolutely hated and dreaded, which is good from Brandon Bean's perspective. But I'm kind of going to grade each pick individually as we go, and then at the end, sum it all up and give a personal letter grade, and then we have some undrafted UDFAs to get into and some rookie minicamp invites for the Buffalo Bills to get into. And then when that's all said and done, I'm going to end off this episode with a kind of fun exercise, a post-draft 53-man roster projection. Obviously, this is what, end of April, about May, 4.5, 5 months the 2024 season actually starts. So my next roster projection will be pre-training camp, then post-training camp when the season actually starts. But thought it'd be a fun exercise to go to a post 2024 draft early, way too early, actually. 50 53-man roster projection. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Bills 2024 draft recap pick by pick. This was interesting, right? Before I get off the specific pick, in round one, Thursday night, so obviously, as we know, Thursday, April 25th, round one of the, for me, best night of the year, but round one of the draft took place, and the Bills were scheduled to pick 28th overall. And it was interesting because I was sitting there with my dad, and we were saying, I don't know if he agreed, but I was saying at least trade up for Brian Thomas Jr., do a modest trade up. We were never going to trade up to 8 with the Falcons or 9 for the Bears for Rome Odunze. The reports that the Bills are going to move heaven and earth to try to trade up, to try to accomplish the trade up and get Rome Odunze were clearly false. That was all just smokescreen. But Brian Thomas Jr. was starting to slip, and the Jaguars, I think, would have been a perfect trade partner because they took Brian Thomas Jr., great wide receiver out of LSU, the consensus wide receiver 4, as well as my personal wide receiver 4 in this class at 23. So the Bills missed out on him. I think once they missed out on him, they were okay with trading back. First, they traded back from 28 to 32 with the Chiefs, and then they traded back from 32 to 33, the very first pick of the second round, Friday night, April 26th, a few days ago, to say rather. And they took who we're going to get to in a minute. But listen, I know what people are saying out there in the media and all that. Well, I can't believe the Bills, aided the team they're always chasing. I can't believe they just gave the Chiefs more weapons. Let's think through this and settle down. Okay? People are acting like the Chiefs all of a sudden got Tyreek Hill back. Okay, relax. I know Xavier Worthy ran a 4.21 at the 40 at the combine. Awesome. But there's not many good track record, if any at all. It's rare for a player that runs in the 4.2s. It's rare for a player that runs in the 4.2s or even runs blazing fast like he did to succeed at the NFL level for a sustained level of time, for any stretch of time, really. John Ross got overdrafted because of it in 2017. We saw it happen there. Ted Ginn, 2015, got overdrafted out of Ohio State because of it. There's not a good track record here. So the Chiefs didn't get Tyreek Hill back. Let's relax. I'm not saying Xavier Worthy is the next John Ross, but he's sure as hell not the next Tyreek Hill. Let's calm down. And I think Xavier Worthy was overdrafted at 28. So, and people are saying, well, when Xavier Worthy scores a game-winning touchdown on the Bills, blah blah blah, this and that, you're gonna feel so. Okay, fine. We'll get to there when we get to it. I'm kind of passionate about this because, people are. This is way overblown. I mean, first of all, Brett Veach's track record as the Chiefs GM isn't very good with wide receivers. Yes, Rashee Rice is in a lot of trouble right now. He's probably going to get suspended to 4 to 6 games. That's the only remotely success story here. Since Tyreek Hill left, they drafted Cornell Powell out of Clemson. not doing anything. Justin Ross, not doing anything. Mecole Hardman left and they had to trade for him back for him to even be a return man and do anything. There's not a good track record here, guys. So for everyone saying that Xavier Worthy's the next Tyreek Hill is just an overreaction. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust and be the next John Ross. But, like, I think this is totally overblown. And the fact of the matter, guys, is this. People can't comprehend this from what I've seen. The Bills obviously told you, the Buffalo Bills and Brandon Beane told you on Thursday night that they were not nearly as high than Xavier Worthy or Xavier Leggett as really anyone was. Because if that was the case, they would have stayed at 28 and taken Worthy or taken Leggett. But they clearly told you they were not in on those players. It's simple as that. So even who gives a... I'm not going to swear, but who cares if the Chiefs traded from 32 to 28 with the Bills? If the Chiefs had traded with the Cowboys at 24 or the Buccaneers at 26 or even the Cardinals at 27, there wouldn't be a big hoopla like there is now. People wouldn't be saying, oh my God, I can't believe the Cowboys, out of all people, helped the Chiefs. No, it's just because the Bills and the Chiefs, and the Bills gave the Chiefs Patrick Mahomes, and the Bills only got Tre'Davious White in 2017. It's fine though, because we got Josh Allen next year in 2018. But this is such a stupid talking point. I know I'm sounding harsh, but this is just dumb. The Chiefs would have taken Xavier Worthy at 32 anyway. Them trading up didn't change their minds. The Bills would have passed on Worthy anyway if they were going to stick and pick at 28. Again, if they were in on Worthy, if they were in on Leggett, especially Worthy in this case, Buffalo Bills would have taken him at 28. If they weren't in on him, move on. Like, this talking point is exhausting. It's just a dumb conversation. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. So, anyway, my little soapbox there. Bills 2024 draft selections. Now we get some more conversations and more lighthearted. Moving past that, at round 2, pick 33 overall. So, like I just said, very first pick of the second round, because the Bills traded back from 28 to 32 initially, and then 32 to 33, and picked up a third-round pick in the process, which is awesome. Wide receiver Keon Coleman out of Florida State. His size is, this is like a mouth-watering frame, 6'4", 215 pounds. I'm going to give this a B+. I seem to like this a tad more. I seem to like this a tad more than the consensus. Even some Bills fans, they say, well, we could use this receiver. Yes, my priorities after the big four of Harrison, Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and then Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ for short, who went to the Jaguars, where I wanted Ladd McConkey, then A.D. Mitchell, then Keon Coleman. Ladd McConkey ended up going a few picks later to the Chargers. A.D. Mitchell ended up going a handful of picks later in the middle of the second round, so same round, to the Colts. Whatever. But the fact of the matter is, Keon Coleman's, you can't deny his physical frame. You can't deny his physical upside. I just told you guys, 6'4", 215. I'm sorry. 6'4", 215. That's insanity. Yes, I know he struggles to separate really at all. I know he's kind of a raw route runner. But and people are saying, well, this is just the next Gabe Davis for the Bills. Yes, you can say that in the separation metrics, maybe the clunky route running. I think Keon Coleman is already a more polished route runner than Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis was a pretty poor route runner, to put it candidly. So anyone really better than him in that department. But Keon Coleman actually plays like he's big. Gabe Davis was like 6'2", 220, and he played like he was 5'10", 190. Like he was not good. For a guy that was billed as a contested catch or genius, he wasn't good in contested catch situations. And half the time he would even catch the ball. This is not a, Gabe Davis bash session here, but I'm trying to compare the two because I don't agree with the notion that this is just the next failure, Gabe Davis failure for the Bills. Keon Coleman actually plays like he's big. He knows he's 6'4", 215. He knows his physical upside. He's a confident kid. He knows how to use his big frame. His highlight reels in contested catch situations are unreal. Oh, and also, that's why I'm giving it a B+. Because, yes, I would have preferred a couple more receivers like Ladd McConkey and A.D. Mitchell over him. But B+, that's a pretty damn good grade. And my projected role, I'm going to say the projected roles for each player here as I go on. So B plus for Keon Coleman. My projected role for Coleman in this offense. Sorry, I lost it here. My projected role for Keon Coleman is this offense. Come in and contribute as that instant impact down the field true X receiver that Buffalo is missing right now. Because Khalil Shakir, you probably look at him as your main slot. Curtis Samuel, versatile weapon. He can line up in the backfield on occasion. He can line up inside, outside, take some jet sweeps, whatever. Dalton Kincaid, big slot. Dawson Knox, that inline blocking type. Red zone master. James Cook, some real routes out of the backfield. But Ken Coleman, he doesn't really line up in the slot much, but that's okay because we need that true vertical X receiver. Throw up a lot of 50-50 balls to him. He's got it. And you know that's Josh Allen's game. Whether you like it or not, sometimes it's head scratching, sometimes it makes me have a heart attack, but and my heart flowing and pumping. But whether you like it or not, Josh Allen's game is built on 50-50 balls. He likes to chuck it downfield. Yes, that sometimes get him in trouble with hero ball, fumbling, interceptions, whatever. But he's great at extending plays. You can't really get him down on first contact, rarely, if ever. And so if Keon Coleman's down somewhere, he'll chuck it down there to him. It's kind of like F it, Keon's down there somewhere. Keon Coleman's down there somewhere, rather. So I love this. Like, it's evidence later. It's not my very first favorite pick of the draft for the Bills, but it's for sure either second or third. Like, I think this is amazing pick. Round 2, pick 60 overall for the Bills. Safety Cole Bishop, Utah, 6'2", 200. He's 6'2" and 207 pounds. I know people are giving this like an A+, an A at the minimum. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just going to give it a B. Middle of the road. I will explain here, obviously, but the reasoning for that is going into the draft, I wanted more of a center fielder type safety. What I mean by that is I wanted a safety that was more dynamic playmaker, that had proven ball production at the college level. Think of Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer was more of that get the team fired up, physical tackler, forcing fumbles, put him down the box, put him down as a pseudo hybrid linebacker at times, and let him work close to the line of scrimmage, hard hitting safety. Micah Hyde was that more throwback, well, not throwback maybe, but traditional center fielder safety that would be back there and make dynamic interceptions and dynamic pass breakups and dynamic playmaking ability and plays on the ball. That's what I wanted in a safety for Micah Hyde replacement. Jordan Poyer's obviously gone now, and I feel like Cole Bishop, again, 6'2", 207, he's a big physical kid, but that's just the thing. He's not really a center fielder type playmaking safety like I wanted. Taylor Rapp is he does his best work close to the line of scrimmage, physical tackler. And I feel like Cole Bishop, I'm sorry to say it, but I feel like me personally, this is just my personal opinion. Everyone's got their own. I feel like me personal opinion, excuse me. Cole Bishop is kind of a redundant skill set to Taylor Rapp. Now, that might make sense if, yes, they signed Taylor Rapp to a semi-big 3-year, at least for their standards, 3-year extension, but you can get out of it after just 1 year with little dead cap. And then Mike Edwards is kind of that playmaker, but like that's probably only a 1-year thing, and I wouldn't be too excited to extend him after this year. So I feel like Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp are kind of redundant skill sets, and I wanted a more. My big thing with this is I wanted a more center fielder, playmaking safety. I hope that makes sense. And there were also a few other safeties that I thought we could have waited on the 3rd or 4th round. And I'm not saying this is a reach, but I feel like it was a tad too early for Cole Bishop, not just for the build, but for in general. Oh, you could have waited on who all these safeties went after. Kalen Bullock from USC, Jaden Hicks from Washington State. Funny enough for the Chiefs. Malik Mustafa from 49ers. All those guys at one point or another have dynamic ball production, center fielder type. Think of the Micah Hyde parallel that I just explained with the Hyde Poyer dynamic thing. So I'm going to give it a B. I think, me personally, I'm lower than the consensus in Bills Mafia and Bills fans. No, my dad is really hyped for this. I'm not. But nonetheless, his projected role in year 1 will be fit in as that third safety that can be get on the field in certain sets, those packages like 3 safety sets. Although last year under McDermott as the defensive coordinator, they didn't do that as much as I thought they would. Taylor Rapp, maybe that's just because Taylor Rapp is kind of a liability in coverage, but hopefully Cole Bishop can become a full-time starter in 2025. Whether that's they move on to Taylor Rapp with little dead cap 2 years earlier, or they just don't re-sign Mike Edwards. Although I would want to sign Mike Edwards because, like I said, Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp both have redundant skill sets, in my opinion. So I'm not really high on this. So B, just slightly below middle of the road, in my opinion. Round 3, 95 overall. Now, when this one initially happened, wasn't high on it really at all. Now I love it. Defensive tackle Dwayne Carter Duke, 6'3", 305. I'm going to give this an A-. 305, that's similar weight and height to Byron Murphy, who went 16 to the Seahawks on Thursday night. Similar kind of stature there. And I think this fits in perfectly with what we want to do because your defensive tackles right now are Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, and Austin Johnson, who's that backup at one tech today. Daquan Jones, direct backup. And then at 3 tech, you'll have Deshaun Williams and then Dwayne Carter. And that leads me into my projected role for him in year 1. Dwayne Carter should fit into being Ed Oliver's direct backup at 3 tech and provide youth in the defensive tackle room. Daquan Jones, I love him, but he's north of 30. Austin Johnson, same thing, north of 30, I believe. Deshaun Williams, fringe roster guy / practice squad guy. Elianku, practice squad staple. He's not going to make the roster. So I think Dwayne Carter will fit in nicely as that 4th safety, maybe even 3rd, and pass up Austin Johnson. And you know how much Sean McDermott, and this will probably ring true under Bobby Babich, if whoever calls plays, McDermott or Babich. But you know they love to rotate that D-line, defensive ends and defensive tackles. They play 4 per game. They dress 4 defensive tackles per game, and they all get playing time on game days. I think Austin Johnson and Dwayne Carter are such an upgrade over last year where you had Jordan Phillips and Tim Settle and Poona Ford. Even though I like Poona Ford, they clearly didn't. So, quote-unquote, backup defensive tackles who play a ton of snaps, reasonable amount of snaps. I really like this a lot. A-. Round 4, Dwayne Carter. Round 4, pick 128 overall. Again, they made 10 selections here, which I did not think they would do, but they did. Round 4, 128 overall. Running back Ray Davis, Kentucky. He is 5'8", 211. I'm going to give this a B-. First of all, I will say it's kind of a pretty stocky build. It's kind of disproportionate height and weight. Like 5'8", you would think he's a little lighter, but it's good that he's 211. I'll get into things I don't like. The things I like, because I gave it a B-, but the things I like about Ray Davis is he's got the mentality of, you ain't bringing me down. I'm the strongest MFer on the field right now. Game in and game out. I'm the strongest MFer on the field, and you're not going to bring me down. He's not very shifty in the open field. It's not very loose in the open field, but he's a good cutter. He's got good vision, and he doesn't hesitate. He just goes, and I appreciate that because James Cook, especially early last year, he cleaned it up here and there as the year went on, but he still had some tendencies in the playoffs and whatnot. Well, maybe not, but still. He sometimes hesitates to hit the hole, and he dances in the backfield too much and tackled for a loss or whatever. Tackled for a loss or at the line of scrimmage. So Ray Davis, I appreciate that. A guy that will just go. Winning mentality. The thing I don't like this, why I give this a B- though, is because there was a running back specifically sitting there that I thought was an absolutely perfect fit for the Bills, and that they had took, well, I'll just say, if they had took Audric Estime, running back for Notre Dame, I would be enthralled. That would be an easy A+, A+++. He went to the Broncos. I don't get that fit at all. And I'm not saying that just because my Notre Dame homers, Notre Dame to Bills pipeline, that would have been an A+ selection easily. Ray Davis, I don't think, I know, nothing really pops out in film. He doesn't have any, above average or great, one trump card of any, traits that really stand out. He's just kind of an ordinary college running back. He kind of is what he is. He's got a lot of tread on his tires. Over 800 career carries at 5 years at Kentucky. The downside is he will be already 25 years old in November. So that, and he's got mileage on him. Think of Jonathan Taylor at Wisconsin, but obviously Ray Davis is way worse. But in terms of talent, but Ray Davis over 800 career carries at Kentucky, so a lot of mileage on there. But he won't be coming as the starter, obviously, but projected role in year 1. Be that power. Davis will be that power back complement to James Cook that comes in the game and gets on the field in short yardage / goal line situations. Because guys, right now, our power back before we drafted Ray Davis was Josh Allen. He had 15 rushing touchdowns. And I love the whole snow plow and the jokes about that and the tush push. the Bills version of the Eagles tush push play, the snowplow, Deion Dawkins, all that. But like you don't want to put his body through that all the time. So can we get that to 7 or 8 touchdowns? We don't need 14 or 15 every year. And we needed that. And James Cook, all love to him, and I love the guy, but he's not a power back heading into year 3. So he's just not. So I think Ray Davis can provide a certain role, but I'm going to give this B- because strictly comparing it to Audric Estime, I loved Audric Estime. Absolutely perfect fit, bowling ball type of bag as well. I think they have similar play styles, but I just would have personally preferred Audric Estime and summarize it, Ray Davis, kind of an ordinary back in tons of mileage. So B-. Round 5, pick 141 overall. I'm going to gush about this pick right here, guys, just to tell you. Center Cedric Van Pran Granger, center from Georgia, 6'4", 298 pounds. I don't care what people think. A+. I'm going to say it right now. This is my absolute the whole time, 1 to 10, my absolute favorite pick of the draft. This is unreal value. I thought he was a third-round pick all day, but the reason he slipped a couple rounds past that was because, first of all, 6'4", 298, so you wish he was kind of up there in like the 310, 315, maybe even pushing 320 range. To compare it to Mitch Morse, he was kind of lighter but powerful as well. And to directly compare it, Cedric Van Pran Granger is powerful as hell, guys. Like, he can move people, but he slipped a couple rounds because he's a strictly center only. I know he said Aaron Cromer thinks he can play some guard here and there, but I think he's going to be center. And that leads me to my projected role in year 1 for Granger. He'll provide quality insurance at center in case the Connor McGovern to center thing doesn't work out. Maybe, this might sound bolder right now, but maybe even push McGovern to be Buffalo's starting center in year 1. Because let's be honest, guys, Connor McGovern going over from left guard to center. I don't like blowing up an offensive line that was one of only 3 teams in the league, one of only 3 offensive lines in the league last year that started all 5 games perfect, all 17 games, same 5 from left to right on the line, left tackle to right tackle, respectively. So I don't like doing that when you trade away Ryan Bates and cut Mitch Morse. And if Connor McGovern's only taken 100 snaps, I know he did it a bunch at Penn State, but that was years ago in college. And he's only taken 100 snaps in the NFL at center. So if that doesn't work out, look for Cedric Van Pran Granger here. Again, A+, home run prick. And again, 2 national championships in Georgia, but more importantly, 3 straight years of starting as Georgia's starting center. Do you know how much starting experience of football that is? That's like close to the NFL level. SEC football, 2 national championships at Georgia. Think of the edge rushers going against week in and week out. He's going against Alabama's Will Anderson. He's going against Alabama's Chris Braswell, Alabama's Dallas Turner. Basically, Alabama's everything. And then a bunch of other SEC James Pierce, who's probably the likely first overall pick in the next year, 2025 NFL draft from Tennessee. I mean, week in and week out, 44 straight starts. So he's durable as well. You wish he was a tick bigger. You wish he wasn't center only, but that's fine because we need a center only. So don't be surprised if Dave Edwards goes back to bench, Connor McGovern goes back to left guard, and they change their philosophy and plan, put Cedric Van Pran Granger as center. They absolutely don't care about starting a rookie into your offensive lineman because they did it last year with Osiris Torrance at right guard. So those are just some pair of butt kickers up front. If you get Cedric Van Pran Granger at center, that's a Connor McGovern at left guard, but more so Osiris Torrance at right guard. So, I mean, A+. I cannot stop gushing about this. Very favorite pick of the draft for them, Bills. Round 5, pick 160 overall. Linebacker. I'm saying this name once, and then I'm shortening it after. Linebacker Edefon Ulufosio, linebacker from Washington. He's 6 foot, 236 pounds. I'm going to refer to him as Eddie from now on. Just footnote there, because I'm not going to say the whole name and mess up every time. So Eddie, 6 foot, 236 pounds. I'm giving this a B. Yeah, we didn't need like a top 4 linebacker because your top 4 linebackers are obviously Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Nicholas Morrow, and then Dorian Williams. And then you have between Baylon Spector and Eddie here. Between Baylon Spector and Eddie, you have your hopefully Tyler Matakevich replacement, but Ulufosio's role in year one projected role. Become a staple on special teams, which he's been proven to do it. A phenomenal UW, phenomenal Washington defense the last few years, and hopefully develop into that Tyler Matakevich replacement, like I just said. I'm going to give this a B because nothing flashy. Or, yeah, you wish he was a tick taller at 6 foot, maybe 6'1, 6'2, 6'3, something like that. Around 6'2, 6'3, but he's not. So I'm going to deal with what we have. Tyler Matakevich replacement, that's what I'm looking for. Round 5, pick 168 overall. Defensive end, Javon Solomon from Troy. He is 6'1", 246 pounds. I'm going to give this a B-. Because there were a couple defensive ends that went a little earlier that one went, like Mo Camara went to the Dolphins a round earlier, or Brennan Jackson from Washington State went to the Rams a round earlier, a handful of picks earlier, I should say, rather. So I would have invested a couple rounds earlier in defensive end. But it's whatever. I don't have much to say here. Projected role for Javon Solomon in year one: provide depth as a rotational pass rusher that comes in the game on long and late downs, so third and long, fourth and long, as a situational / designated pass rusher. What I mean by that is exactly what it says: situational / designated and long and late, third and long, fourth and long. Because in early down stuff, he's not going to give you early down stuff. He's kind of a net zero. Net negative against on the run game, but he is productive as hell college career. He had 36.5 stacks over his 4 years at Troy. Just 16 last year in 2023 at Troy. In 2021 at Troy, he had 11. So this guy produces. So, like I said with the defensive tacklers with the Dwayne Carter pick, I'm going to say again with Javon Solomon, you love that you have someone who can rotate now to battle with guys like Casey Toohill. And if you re-sign Shaq Lawson, which weirdly they haven't done yet, but I think come June and July, they'll re-sign him. So, yeah. But B- there. Round 6, 204 overall for the Bills. Offensive tackle, Tylan Grable, UCF. He's 6'6", 306 pounds. I'm going to give this a C+ because it's nothing flashy. This last couple picks are like whatever. Projected role for Tylan Grable: compete with guys like Tommy Doyle, Richard Garage, and Ryan Vandermark for a roster spot. Like that's what we're looking at. A fringe roster spot guy can compete with a few other guys that are already established on the roster. Round 6, pick 219 overall. This is my second A+, so only 2 A+s. Granger, Van Pran Granger, and then this cornerback Daquan Hardy, Day Hardy, he goes by. So corner Day Hardy from Penn State. He is 5'9" and 179 pounds. A+, like I just said. And his projected role is slide in as Taron Johnson's direct backup at nickel / slot corner and push to be Buffalo's main primary kick / punt returner. He has 2 punt return touchdowns in his 4 years at Penn State. He's experienced. He's speedy. He ran a 4.38 40-yard dash to the combine. 40-yard dash isn't everything, but that guy, he shows that on tape. And on tape, he runs even faster than that in his play speed, functional athleticism. So, I mean, that home run pick, A+. And right now, Taron Johnson's backup at slot is Cam Lewis. And at this point, I'm not a fan of Cam Lewis slot and / nickel reps at slot corner. He's more fitting at safety these days going into, crazy to say, but year 6 is 6th year with the Bills. Undrafted free agent out of UB in 2019. Our last 10th and final pick of the draft, round 7, 221 overall. Guard Travis Clayton from the International Pathway Program. He is 6'7", 301 pounds. He has 35-inch arms. So he can grasp and lash on a defensive lineman immediately. But I give this a C, like even worse than Tylan Grable. Projected role, same thing with Grable, fringe roster guy. Travis Clayton will compete with guys like Will Clapp and Alec Anderson for a roster spot. So with all that being said, all the way from Keon Coleman in round 2 to Travis Clayton in round 7, 221 overall, I give the Bills' final 2024 NFL draft grade a B-. I liked a lot of what they did, but here are a few things. I posed the question to myself and pose it to you guys. What was missing from the Bills for the draft this year in 2024? Well, for one, I would have liked a double dip at wide receiver at some point. 2 guys that I wanted as that second receiver after we took Keon Coleman. Brendan Rice was sitting there forever. He goes to the Chargers in round 7. I would have taken round 5, honestly. Taj Washington from USC. goes to the Dolphins, and then Malik Washington from Virginia also goes to the Dolphins. So, and Mo Camara also goes to the Dolphins. Defensive end edge rusher out of Colorado State. So mainly those two receivers, but go to the Dolphins, unfortunately. So, and historically, one of the best draft classes we've seen in quite some time, and deep, all the way to round 4 and 5. I would have liked to see a double dip a lot. Next, I would have addressed, I kind of got in this earlier when talking about Solomon. I would have addressed edge earlier than Javon Solomon in the 5th round. I would have done it honestly as early as the 3rd or 4th round at the latest. Brennan Jackson from Washington State, Mo Camara from Colorado State. Those are two guys I had my eye on. I know it dried up pretty quickly though. But then thirdly, Cole Bishop is a fine pick, but I personally would have preferred a more dynamic playmaker safety that is more of a center fielder type. Again, I kind of said redundant skill set to Taylor Rapp, but that's okay. We'll get to that when he's seen play in preseason. Now, ranking Bills 2024 draft picks. I obviously already told you 1 through 10, my initial thoughts, but I'll just stack them up here. 1 being my favorite, 10 being my least favorite, obviously. 1, Cedric Van Granger, center, Georgia, absolute home run. 2, Keon Coleman, wide receiver, Florida State. 3, Day Hardy, corner, spot, corner, nickel corner. Penn State, kick return and punt return as well. 4, Dwayne Carter, defensive tackle, Duke. 5, Cole Bishop, safety, Utah, for all the reasons I laid out here. Over this episode, not as big as the consensus on him. 6, Ray Davis, running back, Kentucky. I would have preferred a different running back. Jack Estime, looking at you. 7, Javon Solomon, defensive end, Troy. 8, Eddie Ulofoshio, linebacker, Washington. And then these kind of guys are in a tier their own, like bottom of the barrel guys. 9, Talon Grable, offensive tackle, UCF. 10, Travis Clayton, guard from the International Pathway Program, NFL. Now, Bills UDFA, undrafted free agent signings. There's only a couple here I think of a shot to make their roster, but there's one I'm absolutely psyched about. So, Rondell Bothroyd, Rondell Bothroyd, defensive end, Oklahoma. David Ugwoegbu, David Ugwoegbu, whatever, defensive end, Houston. Branson Dean, defensive tackle, Miami. Kenai H. Lovely, corner, Western Michigan. Let's see, Keaton Bills, guard, Utah. There's a joke somewhere in there. Bills, Keaton Bills. Yeah, I'll move on. And Gunnar Britton, offensive lineman, Auburn. Jack Browning, punter, San Diego State. So now you got 3 punters between Sam Martin, Matt Hack, and Jack Browning. Lawrence Keys, wide receiver, Tulane. And then Mike Edwards, offensive tackle, Campbell. But the last two I'm really excited here. Xavier Johnson, wide receiver, Ohio State. I watched him at Ohio State. Like, I love college football, so every Saturday there I am on the couch, watching college football. One game ends, I go to another, whatever. I watched a bunch of Ohio State games the last handful of years when he was there the last 5 years. He was always behind guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Emeka Buka, Carnell Tate. He's always behind those guys. But he was kind of a wide receiver, running back, do-it-all hybrid. He was a speedy kick and punt returner as well, so I think he has an outside chance to crack this practice squad. Tough roster, but practice squad maybe. Then Frank Gore Jr., man, running back, Southern Miss. I'm so excited about this. I thought someone should have taken at least a shot at him in round 7. I think he can push Ty Johnson for RB3 for this roster. Whoever's RB4, I don't think they'll carry 4. It can make the practice squad. So look out for Xavier Johnson, receiver. Ohio State is a UDFA signing, but especially Frank Gore Jr. because Frank Gore Sr. So Frank Gore was on the Bills 2019. That heartbreaking Texans lost the 19-0, but only whatever. And then Bills rookie minicamp invites, which is next weekend. So May 4th and 5th. If I have those dates right. Mason Fairchild, tight end, Kansas. Some nice tight end depth. Michael Furtney, offensive lineman, Wisconsin. Jack Daly, defensive tackle, FIU. Travis Blackshear, corner. Furman. Colby Fakwa, linebacker, Jacksonville State. Alex McNulty, Roma Guerra. Kicker, UB. University of Buffalo, UB. They like that local connection. Stephen Hillis. You've seen it with Kane Lewis, Jamarcus Ingram. Stephen Hillis, linebacker, South Dakota. Sheridan Jones, corner, Clemson. AJ Walcott, corner, Arkansas. Gunnar Watson, quarterback. Gunnar Watson, QB, Troy. You always know they like to have a QB to function and run the offense in rookie minicamp. Nothing really notable there, just the QB to run rookie minicamp. Now, this would be a fun exercise. I'll do another one of these before training camp and then post-training camp and the season. All that. But Bills 2024 53-man roster projection post-draft. Right now, as of Monday, April 29th, at 8:15 p.m. at night, I'm going to say what I think who will make the roster and the cuts. The QB, this is straightforward. Josh Allen, Mitchell Trubisky, cuts. Shane Buechele, probably be QB practice guy. Running back, I think there's two locks. James Cook, and then Ray Davis, who we just drafted. RB3. I'm telling you guys, I legit think Frank Gore Jr. can push Ty Johnson to be that RB3, but I am going to give the upper hand, unfortunately, to unfortunately, I like Ty Johnson a lot. He does a little bit of everything. Power, speed, receiving value, special teams, kick return, punt return. A little bit of everything, guys. So, but I'm going to give the edge to Ty Johnson. Cuts are Darrington Evans and Frank Gore Jr. I think Frank Gore Jr. will be this year's preseason darling. Like last year, it was Darrington Evans. 2019-20 range, it was Christian Wade. And then 1 year it was Antonio Williams. Always seems to be a running back. So, fullback, would you get him? Wide receivers, I think there are 4 locks here. Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, Matt Collins. And then you have guys like Quintus Cephas, who we just signed, coming off a full year suspension for gambling. So, obviously, they think he's on the straight and narrow now if the Bills are signing him with their regime. And then it comes down to Quintus Cephas, Justin Shorter, KJ Hamler, Xavier Johnson, Andy Isabella, Taylor Sheridan, Brian Thompson. I'm going to give the final 2 spots where I see 5, Quintus Cephas, and then 6, Justin Shorter. By the way, these are no orders of importance or priority. I'm just saying them out loud. So the cuts will be Brian Thompson, Xavier Johnson, KJ Hamler, Andy Isabella, and then Tyrell Shavers. But look out for Tyrell Shavers. Some people actually think, and I think that's the main reason why the Bills didn't double dip at wide receiver. I heard Brandon Bean allude to it because they really like Justin Shorter and Tyrell Shavers, especially Shavers and the trajectory he's on. So those are our 6 receivers. At tight end, this is going to be more simple. Same as last year. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Quentin Morris. Cuts will be Zach Davidson and Trey McKitty, who are great practice squad guys. Offensive line, I think there are 7 locks here. Deion Dawkins. So your 5 starters from left to right. Deion Dawkins, David Edwards, Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance, Spencer Brown, and then 2 direct guys off the bench, Leo Collins and Cedric Van Pran Granger. And then you have 2 final spots. I'm going to give it to Alec Anderson, Ryan Van Demark, because those are 2 undrafted free agent guys that have been in this system for a couple of years now that they've developed, and Alec Anderson has guard tackle versatility. So that means the cuts are Kevin Jarvis, Gunnar Britton, Richard Garage, Travis Clayton, Will Clapp, Tommy Doyle, Tylen Grable. I know Tommy Doyle might stick a shock, but he's torn his ACL 2 years in a row, 2022 and 23. The 2022 one was in week 3 against the Dolphins. The 2023 one was in the second preseason game last summer. So brutal. But those are my 9 offensive linemen. They could carry a 10th, Doyle or Grable or Clayton, but I don't think they will. Defensive tackle, I think this is straightforward. I think all 4 of these are locks. Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, Austin Johnson, Dwayne Carter. Your first guy out, cuts, Elianku, and then Deshaun Williams. You know, they always like to have a couple D linemen, but more specifically D tackles, defensive tackles on the practice squad. Defensive end, I think there are 3 locks here. And Von Miller, Greg Rousseau, Ejipineza. Then I have the final 2 spots of 5 in total going to Javon Solomon, who we just drafted, so rookie, and then Casey Toole. My cuts are Cameron Klein. I don't really care about that, but Kingsley Jonathan. Listen, I was really excited when we signed him as a UDFA and undrafted free agent at Syracuse in 2022, so a couple years ago. But they always say the predictor of future performance is past performance, and he hasn't done crap in the past. So I'm sorry, but you're out. So Casey Toole and Javon Solomon make those final 2 spots. The 5 defensive and linebacker. I think there are 4 locks here. Pretty straightforward. Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Torian Williams, and Nicholas Morrow. And then the final 2 spots I have, it was between 5th spot, Balin Spector, Eddie Ulofoshio. I got them both making it. I know 6 linebackers is heavy, but so from top to bottom, it's Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, Nicholas Morrow, Balin Spector, and Eddie Ulofoshio. You need some bodies here to get you through camp and preseason. Now that's 6 guys fighting for 5 or 6 spots. You need some bodies, more competition. Corner, I have 5 locks here. Christian Benford, Rasul Douglas, Taron Johnson, Kyrie Elam, Day Hardy from Penn State, so rookie who we just drafted. Day Hardy, I think, is a lock, by the way. It really comes down to, so those 5 are locks. And then it really comes down to Dubiana carries 6-1, and I hit with the numbers. I have us carrying 6-1, so Jamarcus Ingram finally getting his opportunity. Cuts are Kyron Brown, who really cares. Safety, I think there are 4 locks here with Taylor Rapp, Mike Edwards, Cole Bishop, Cam Lewis, and then the 5th one is, do you cut DeMar Hamlin? Do you keep him? I have been keeping him. I'm not saying that just because of story and bad PR if they cut it. I actually really love him on special teams, and I love him in his in a hard hitting safety. Sometimes he plays out of control, but we can fix that. So yeah, cuts Kendall Williamson, whatever. And then kicker Tyler Bass, punter Sam Martin, cuts are Matt Hack. He's just awful. And then long snapper Reed Ferguson, and then just. This isn't breaking news, but earlier today, so there's my 53-man roster projection, guys. Let me know if you're watching on YouTube, down in the comments below what you think. Bills pick up, but earlier today this came through. Bills pick up 5th-year option on defensive end Greg Rousseau. It locks Rousseau in for $13.4 million against the 2025 cap. With the pass rusher and defensive end market only going up and up these days, that's 13.4 is very reasonable. This was an easy decision, in my opinion. I said coming out of college, I know I didn't have a podcast back then, but when he was drafted in 2021, I said with family, friends, just in text chains and groups and whatever, he's kind of raw. He would take a couple, 2 or 3 years to kind of, at least 2 years to kind of like produce or do anything. So, and he did. He was raw, but I wish he was more of a sack artist, had more sack production every year, especially last year. But I think he was kind of hampered by that, like not minor, but like it wasn't season ending, but pretty major foot injury. So yeah. Anyways, guys, we talked about the Bills draft class, gave him a final grade. Then we went through a 53-man roster projection. I'm glad that the Bills picked up the 5th-year option, Greg Rousseau. Okay. So where you can find me, you can find me on, I have Patreon. You can support me on Patreon. It's patreon.com/aroundtheslice. For just $3 a month, you get extra exclusive content like rankings, tier lists, breaking news, whatever else. Again, that's just patreon.com/aroundtheslice. And then you can follow me personally on Twitter at AWeingarten13 for more takes just outside of this podcast, NBA, NFL, college football, whatever, especially with the NBA playoffs going on right now. And then podcast Twitter, you can follow the show and on Twitter at Around Slice. And then I don't promote this one much, but you can find like short form content, like 1 to 2 minute content on kind of clips on TikTok around the slice. So yeah. Anyways, guys, that will do it for me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next, I don't really want to commit too much to this, but I guess I'll tease it a little. In the next week or so, I'm gonna have a guest on. I don't want to reveal who it is because I'm still working out the details. So, but be excited for that, I guess. So, yeah, special guest to kind of go more in depth and break this down, a deep dive, if you will, on the Bills 2024 draft class. I just kind of wanted to get out of it on myself to kind of break down my own personal thoughts. So, yeah, I won't say too much about that. I can still work out the details. But anyway, thanks for listening. If you're on YouTube, let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Bills draft class this year. What would your final grade be? Again, my final grade is a B-. There's a lot that I didn't like, but there's a lot that I did like. So, anyways, yeah, that will do it. Thanks for watching or listening, wherever your platform you're on, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever. I'll see you next time. Bye.